I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord, and I've been waiting.
Greetings from Las Vegas and welcome to the EOG Sports Hour. John Kelly with you on a Tuesday night. Glad to be representing EOG. The three letters stand for Eye on Gaming. EOG.com, a website dedicated to the hearts and minds of sports bettors everywhere. You will hear four voices on tonight's show. You'll hear the voice of Alan Dinkinson. He's here just about every Tuesday night talking sports and sports betting. He's in his glory right now with the NHL season less than 24 hours away. 4 games tomorrow night. We've got a dozen games on ice Thursday night. We'll ask him about the upcoming NHL season. Also here in studio tonight is Paulie Mac. He will oppose Alan Dinkinson in a one-on-one football handicapping contest this hour. Should be a lot of fun. Both Paulie Mac and Alan Dinkinson, well known in the Las Vegas betting fraternity. Paulie Mac's been here in town since November of '94. That makes almost 20 years now, whereas Alan Dinkinson arrived just a couple of months after Paulie. January of '95 was when Dink got to Las Vegas. One's from Brockton, Massachusetts. Dink, your hometown is Queens?
Yes, Queens, New York.
And it should be a fabulous showdown, one-on-one. Paulie Mac against Alan Dinkinson. I'm eager to hear their top 7 plays here early in the week. Normally we have these competitions on Friday nights featuring our friend Railbird, Birdie, on the DL right now. He's coping with family issues. We wish the best of health to his mother, his ailing mother. And also he had a situation where his cousin was tragically murdered, and a murder trial, I think, is taking place currently. So Railbird's going through a lot in life, and sometimes life gets in the way of these fun and games we call sports and sports betting. And I mean, to some it's not fun and games. A lot of people treat it as business. The bottom line is critically important. So it's not just the recreational players that are listening to this show, but we have plenty of professional gamblers as well. Also on tonight's program, you'll hear the voice of Boucher. He's a Detroiter, and we're glad to have him as part of our Eye on Gaming community. He's one of the good guys. I like what Boucher brings to any forum, really, and specifically EOG. Spreads tremendous goodwill and camaraderie. Not that he's not without an enemy or two. That happens in the internet world, but he's been responsible for our NHL handicapping contest and has done a beautiful job recruiting the right people in the right spots. We'll talk to Boucher about the NHL handicapping contest that's getting underway shortly at EOG.com. But first, the big story tonight. The baseball playoffs were through with the divisional series. Can you believe that all 4 underdogs won their respective series? And as Dink said just before the show, they all won in 4 games or fewer. We had sweeps in the American League. Kansas City taking out the LA Angels of Anaheim. Baltimore doing a job, and the Detroit Tigers. And tonight, both home teams were victorious. Earlier today, the Cards beat the Dodgers 3-2. Matt Adams, the big blow, 3-run homer off Kershaw in the 7th inning to get the job done there. And tonight, the Giants at home defeated the Washington Nationals and ended the Nats' run. 3-2 was the final there as well. Paulie Mac, let's lead off with you. Your takeaway from the action the past week in Major League Baseball.
Well, I thought, to be honest with you, Johnny, I thought it was it wasn't, I won't say boring, they were exciting games, but it just didn't seem to have the same feeling this year. I don't know, there was something about it, you know. I'm not sure what it was. They just, the series was shorter, and I'm not sure what it was, but the people that picked the freeway series again, they might as well take that opinion and head down the freeway, you know what I mean?
Dodgers
again, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Dodgers and Angels, they both managers, Dink, coming under a lot of fire. Mattingly and Socha are being heavily criticized.
Yeah, anybody who beats the season win totals handily, like Socha did, I have a hard time being critical of, even though he lost the series. He lost the series because they didn't hit. And they got outplayed, and they got out, you know. People forget. It's not like he crept, you know, had a disappointing run. He kind of won without all his big guns firing. Hamilton didn't play the whole season. Pujols had a decent season. Trout had a decent season, but they were led by, the leadoff batter Calhoun. It was not, they lost their best pitcher by far. They had to use C.J. Wilson in Game 3, who's not good at all. And, Yeah, I thought he did a really good job during the season, and now, of course, people's memory is usually 1 or 2 games, and there's a reason to be fired. Maybe they could just switch managers with the Dodgers, and we'll see who comes out ahead.
Yeah, Mattingly to Anaheim, Scioscia back to the Dodgers, right? Scioscia
Interesting.
played with the Dodgers. What about Mattingly, though, in Los Angeles? Our mutual friend, 2-win, 2-place, 2-show, says he's gone after the Dodgers were eliminated.
I can see that. He's been second-guessed for years. And that's a team that didn't beat their total and didn't overachieve and kind of limped into the playoffs. But they had some really good hitters, too, that didn't hit. So it's blaming the manager is so, if he won the series, it doesn't make him really good. And if he lost the series, he shouldn't be fired. It had to be more than that. With Mattingly, I can see, there was a lot of doubts during the season, too. They've gone into some rough patches. But I think just another team where the big guns, Gonzalez didn't hit. Ramirez was oft times injured. Puig is inconsistent, came up as a 0 in the playoffs. Kemp had a decent run at a certain part of the season, but he's another inconsistent player. Crawford, they have a really good team. So I think they underachieved, and you can always point your finger at a team that underachieved even if they made the playoffs.
Joining us from the greater Detroit area, EOG contributor Boucher. He's running our hockey contest. Before we talk NHL hockey, Boucher, how about a quick comment on what they're saying in Detroit about the Tigers manager, Brad Ausmus, and the way the Tigers went out so disappointingly?
Well, that's about 3 years in a row they overachieved in the regular season and got in there and came out pretty flat. So, Ausmus is just a first-year manager. I think he's pretty safe, to be honest with you, but they're going to have to make some changes to that bullpen, that's for sure.
And what about the starting rotation? Yeah, the bullpen was a disaster. The starting pitchers, 3 AL Cy Young Award winners, Scherzer, Verlander, and Price, and the Orioles took out all 3. What are they going to do going into next season with the Detroit pitching?
I was just reading today that pretty good idea that they don't think they're going to be able to sign Scherzer and that they're going to let him go. But I'm, we'll have to wait and see. Dombrowski is a wheeler and dealer. He hasn't brought us a championship here since he's been here. But if you're a fan, like the trades and the player movement, man, this guy he knows how to generate excitement. With his trades, he's brought in quite a big names since he's been here.
Does the
Rodriguez and Cabrera. My mind is blank right now, but he's well respected. I think everyone knows that.
Does the organization trust Justin Verlander moving forward? And what about you, Boucher? Verlander had an off year.
Yeah, I keep hearing conflicting reports about his arm velocity being off and not the same guy. But then he'll turn around and throw a real gem, and it's like, what happened here? I don't know what his future is. I mean, he's going to be around. He's got that big contract, but whether they can get him back on the right track or not, who knows? Who knows?
Boucher is leading off tonight's show. He'll be here for the first segment of the program. We turn our attention to NHL hockey opening night tomorrow night. It'll be exciting. 4 games on the slate. I mentioned 12 games on Thursday. Dink, our mutual friend Waz always talks about working ahead of the schedule. I'm sure you've looked at the Wednesday games. Have you already looked at the Thursday games?
Yeah, there's only a few repeat games. I think 3 teams are playing. I did this offhand. Montreal, Boston, and Philadelphia, I think, I'm not sure if that's right, have games on Thursday. I think that gives them a little bit of an edge that they've had their lines work together in a real game situation, and I think other people might think it doesn't because they're playing back-to-back, and then, they're not as rested as they could be after a first game. But I go with at the beginning of the season, I don't mind teams playing back-to-back as much as when they are wearing down in mid-season.
Boucher, your thoughts on tomorrow night's opening night in the NHL?
Well, the schedule maker certainly did a good job. He's got three real good rivalries, and opening up the night with Toronto, Montreal, and Toronto, and then the other Canadian rivals, Vancouver and Calgary, after that one. But you also got the Sharks and the Kings, where they'll raise the banner, before the game. And you got Boston and Philly. I mean, 4 entertaining games on opening night. You can't ask for more than that.
And our NHL contest at EOG gets underway tomorrow night. Boucher, and you told me we've got a late addition to the field.
Yeah, King Revolver. I contacted him today, our old mod here at EOG, and he would like to purchase an entry and enter it as the gambling forum. So
the more the merrier.
I think he's going to be back over here. Glad to have him back. I always like King Revolver.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Yeah, and we've praised him for years, the information, entertainment that he's provided EOG through the years. So they're going to have an entry in our first ever EOG hockey handicapping contest, which features a 125% payback. That's a beautiful feature, Boucher, and something we're going to try to copy in years to come, contests to come. We're going to introduce an NBA contest this Friday on the program. Hustle Double will be our featured guest Friday night, and he'll talk about an NBA handicapping contest, much along the lines of your hockey contest, Boucher. But I love the idea of having it be an investment instead of a gamble. 40 guys put up $100 a piece. Sponsors put in $1,000, and it's 125% payback. Who doesn't like to gamble with those odds, Boucher?
Nobody I can think of. It's going to be a tough contest too, John. There's a lot of very good, solid handicappers that have joined this contest. And with Dink probably leading the pack there.
See, this is the pressure I didn't want. When I come in 29th, everybody, there'll be a lot of comments.
Well, you're going under the Caroline Marie.
I know. I hope that works out for the rescue. It gives me motivation.
Left yourself a little out there.
No, it actually makes it worse. It makes me have to care more.
And for those not familiar with Caroline Marie, those not initiated to the program, Caroline Betts. She has a rescue organization in Southern California titled Southern California Thoroughbred Rescue. Her website is sctbrescue.org. Dink, the work she does for retired racehorses in California, just very, very impressive. She saves horses from abuse, neglect, and sometimes even slaughter.
Yeah, and they all get unbelievably good treatment. You can see the before and after pictures on that site. I can't even look at the before pictures. These horses are close to dying on their own, let alone dying through slaughter, and they become so useful. And from companions to people who love horses, to riders and horses, to jumping horses. It's very cool if you care about horses, which I think anybody who gambles at the racetrack should, because they're the athletes. Just look at the site and you'll be very impressed and happy that these horses just aren't, when they're done racing, forgotten.
The website again, sctbrescue.org. Boucher, you mentioned Dink is one of the favorites in the NHL handicapping contest. Who are some of the other big names in there?
Well, WVU won our last contest, and he's also won I think quite a few over at the Peeps site. But WVU, Noogie Nerd, Sherwood from Canada is going to play this year. He's got a very popular handicapping site that all the handicappers respect and like to get his opinion on. He's going to enter this year.
I fear any Canadian in a hockey contest.
Yep, he should be the hometown favorite, but we're going to do our best to ruin his day.
You mentioned Teddy KGB.
Yeah, Teddy KGB is a good, solid handicapper. I wouldn't surprise me if he finished. We got 40. It wouldn't surprise me if he finished top 10 or better. I think he's pretty good.
You mentioned a website, Boucher, Peeps Place. That's peepsplace.com. We got some help from Peeps Place in the past week or so. Thanks to RJT721. He gave us an idea. Go over to Peeps Place and recruit Reagan. What has Reagan done for the contest?
Well, I guess Reagan's son made them a program for contests where it takes a lot of the work of the score from the scorekeeper's hands, and it's all programmed electronically. So the guys are just able to go into the site, click on the first link in the thread at EOG.com, join up, and you can put your picks in right there. It's all automated. There'll be another Excel spreadsheet for the standings, and it was a lot of work there last time I ran one of these, but I did it by hand, so this is really gonna help me out. I've been really working overtime here trying to get this thing off the ground and make it run right.
Looks like it's going to be a success. You wanted to cap the field at 40, so we have that 125% payback. How many entrants do we have right now?
Well, we have 34 paid. We're looking for 6 more, but I've got a couple feelers out there. A couple guys told me they're in, but they haven't sent. So we got all day tomorrow to get about 6 guys. Dink's friend Waz contacted me, today and told me that if we were short that he would play. So we got him in the hole as well. So I think we're going to be okay. I think we're going to hit the 40, John.
We might have a new favorite. We might have a new.
I know. Waz is great at everything he does.
We might have a new favorite.
This is a bad news. My stomach did a little twirl there. Plus, we discussed things too. So, he's the hardest working man in town.
And Paulie Mac may get in as well. He could be a late entrant, so we'll put up the $100 and we'll take it.
After he beats me in the contest, it won't hurt to put up the 100.
Boucher, thanks so much for your help. Again, EOG.com. Check out the main forum. It's the first ever EOG hockey handicapping contest featuring a 125% payback. Boucher is the man to contact. We're trying to get to 40. I think we'll do it before the first puck drops tomorrow afternoon, 4:05 Pacific time. Boucher, about the upcoming season, any final notes before you leave us? You made a Stanley Cup selection, did you not, last Tuesday?
Yeah, I like the LA Kings to repeat, and although I mentioned a guy named Cracknell last week when I was on the show that the Kings picked him up, and I saw today that he was just released. So maybe if the Kings don't lose, I'll have a little built-in excuse there. But,
I don't know if that's
I
going
like the Kings again.
I don't think that counts as an excuse that they dropped some kid that you liked.
I'm just joking.
I do.
Boucher, thanks for the time, and we'll chat with you at EOG.com.
Thanks, Boucher.
John, thanks for having me on again. Good luck, Dink and Shawnee Mac.
Good luck to you.
That's a Boucher.
But that was Paulie Mac.
Shawnee Mac, Paulie Mac. Actually, both have been picking winners on this program. Shawnee Mac will be here tomorrow night. How about this? Shawnee Mac, 6 selections, 5 winners. He told us he was going to bring some cool to the program, and 5 wins and a loss from 6 selections. I know it's a short sample, but much better than 1 in 5. And if you hear him talk, you could tell he's enthusiastic about sports and has a good feel for sports betting as well. So Shawnee Mac to be here Wednesday night. Thursday night it'll be at the Statman. Friday night we wrap up the week with Hustle Double making his radio debut here in Las Vegas. He'll explain that NBA handicapping contest that we'll lay out on Friday night. And that contest we'll have until late October. I believe it's Thursday, October 28th, which is the opening night in the NBA. We'll definitely recruit 40 for that competition. Let's step aside and take the only time out of the program. When we return, it's football handicapping with Alan Dinkinson and Paulie Mac from Brockton, Massachusetts. These two to go head-to-head. A 7-game competition. They may select pro games or college games, sides or totals. They're gambling against the current numbers at Chris. Handicapper with the higher winning percentage will take home the stakes. Typically, we don't tell you what's at stake, but Dink's accepting challenges from anywhere between 100 tamales and 1,000 tamales, and they are betting
dollars too if you want to pay in cash.
And I will say this: they're betting the limit, and it's not the limit low. You're listening to the EOG Sports Hour.
There's no such thing as a sure thing, unless you're talking about Ion Gaming. Ion Gaming is a website dedicated to the hearts and minds of sports bettors everywhere. If you're looking for smart, sophisticated sports handicapping information and insight,
go to EOG.com.
If you're looking for the latest news on the ever-changing landscape of Nevada's race and sportsbook industry,
go to EOG.com.
If you're looking for the most recent developments involving the worldwide sports betting scene with an emphasis on the leading sports books in San Jose, Costa Rica,
Go to EOG.com.
and finally, if you're looking to join an online community of sports gamblers where registration is free and the information is priceless,
Go to EOG.com.
you get the idea. Why gamble on other sports betting websites when Ion Gaming is a sure thing?
And I love a sure thing.
Hi, this is Rick Alec, president of Sports Options. Sports Options is a sports information tool designed to give sports bettors of all types the necessary edge needed to improve their bottom line. With Sports Options, you'll never lay a bad number again. We provide you with live odds from the leading sports books in the world, from Costa Rica to Curacao, London to Las Vegas, and everywhere in between. Sports Options also provides the fastest and most accurate injury information, lightning-quick score updates, and game analysis from 30-year handicapping veteran Mark Simons. We offer affordable services for players of all levels, starting at just $99 per month. To see which service best fits your needs, you can take advantage of our 7-day free trial. No credit card is needed. Just go to www.sportsoptions.com and click on the free trial link. I'm confident you'll be impressed with our product, and you'll find it the most complete and comprehensive on the market. In fact, if you don't like Sports Options after 30 days, we'll refund you 100% of your subscription costs, no questions asked. Go to sportsoptions.com for all the details, or call 702-835-1743, and one of our friendly customer service representatives will be happy to help you. Sports Options, information you can bet on.
There's no need to fear. Underdog is here.
When criminals in this world appear and break the laws that they should fear and frighten all who see or hear, the cry goes up both far and near for underdog, 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 underdog.
And we are back. The EOG Sports Hour. John Kelly with you on a Tuesday night. Alan Dinkinson and Paulie Mac are here. We're getting a lot of musical requests lately, thanks in large part to one Alan Dinkinson.
Everyone should have a theme song. Every guest should have a theme song.
Well, Boucher requested the Phil Collins song at the top of the show, by the way. That was a Boucher request. Why the underdog theme?
Well, it's relevant to gambling, underdog. And it's a cool song, and it was one of my favorite cartoons growing up, so it's important.
Do you feel like you're an underdog when you're gambling, Dink?
At 11 to 10, I do, because I used to be the favorite when I was booking, so you have that feeling like you have a lot to overcome and a lot of work to do to overcome it.
What are the advantages of bettors as opposed to bookmakers?
You get to pick out of a large slate, and you don't have to play every game. In bookmaking, you're dealing every game. You have no choice, and people are picking at you. So you should have a field of expertise, something you're good at. You should be able to shop numbers, so you don't have to lay 4 or take 4. You should be able to lay 3.5 or take 4.5, and you're knocking that 11 to 10 down substantially. So if you're decent and you shop well and you work hard, you're not you're not an underdog at all. You're probably a favorite, but there's no cartoon called Favorite, so we play the underdog.
Way to tie it all in. And one quick follow-up. Typically, bookmakers win and bettors lose. You
Not
told
as
me
typical as you think anymore. In the world of professional gamblers, it's a war, and it's a war that's fought with a lot of casualties and to both sides. And I think squares do not win. If you're calling up your bookmaker on Thursday to bet the Thursday night game 5 minutes before it starts, and he's your only bookmaker, you're going to have a hard time winning money.
Play along with my premise, though, for the question.
Sure.
Typically, bookmakers win and bettors lose. When do bookmakers lose? What are bad habits that bookmakers get into?
You're trying to move your line to get somewhat close to even action. You're trying to use a line that's not too out of whack to create business, because the line is 4, but you like the Jets, so you'll make them 6. That's usually the sign of a bookmaker's about to not pay you. When you see private bookmakers, there's so few privates now that but if privates are out of line and they're not typically out of line, they may be out of business or out of money, actually. So be careful there. The problem with bookmaking now is the teasers are so popular that if you don't juice them high, you might say, I need the Niners and I need St. Louis, but if they both win, I'm going to get killed on the opposite teaser. So I guess I really need them to split so I can knock the teasers out. But what if they split and I lose both teasers anyway because it stayed within the line? It's really, when that was a problem for me, and that was in 1987, that, sometimes my action was like pretty even and I was really happy with the card, except the 10-team teasers, the 10-point teasers, which they used in New York a lot more than the 6. Yeah, if 3 12-point favorites won and existed in the line, you had to have a bad day. I remember going to a hockey draft where the cost was like $200, and we still do this draft. The same people still, 30 years later, and I had gotten killed in the early games, and then I got middled in a late game, and all the teasers won. So I was calculating my losses, and I gave my $200, and I hit it on the calculator. It was a 6-figure loss for the day, and it's like I have to draft this pool from where I could win maybe $500 if I, and I'm stuck here for like 4 hours with people who don't gamble at all. This is the highest gamble in their life, and I just lost $103,000. Yeah, it was. That was the peak of, that was the worst gambling day of my life, but somehow I held it together and enjoyed the draft. It happens. I was going well at that time too.
Yeah, you mentioned the biggest loss. How about the biggest win, if you don't mind sharing?
It was might be a little bit more than that in a week. I never crushed anything because you're grinding when you win. You get creamed on middles and teasers and disastrous numbers and results that fall not because you lost every game, but because you lost every game and the teasers and got middle and got sided. So it was, the danger is always more to losing than to winning if everything felt the anti-perfect storm where everything falls exactly bad for you. I never knew why perfect storm meant good. A storm doesn't, a perfect sunset or something sounded better than it's a perfect sunset. Sounds like you did great. A perfect storm sounds like you got caught in a downpour or something.
That's the voice of Ellen Dinkinson. I'm John Kelly.
That's deep gambling talk there, I think.
Paulie Mac is here as well. That's something Alan Boston would appreciate. Alan's that type who likes to use metaphors and words, wordplay, and the flow. I remember he talked about flow in a college basketball game. He's a deep thinker, is Alan Boston. The reason I bring up
shill,
right? The reason I bring up his name, Paulie Mac, is you crossed paths with Alan Boston back in the day.
Yeah, I met him actually at the Foxborough Harness racetrack.
What
He's kind of wise back then, but
once you got to
know
was
him,
that?
you know what I mean? That was probably back in the, I'd say mid-'80s. So he must have come out here right after that,
Mm-hmm. And you arrived in town in '94. What was Alan Boston like in the mid-1980s?
Well, like I said, a lot of people didn't like him down the track because he's kind of wise, you know what I mean? But if you knew him, you just understood his humor and stuff. And he's really a good guy, you know what I mean?
Alan Dinkinson, have you crossed paths with Alan
He was
Boston?
a customer while he was at Foxborough of mine. So we did cross paths, and we both moved out here, and we were friends. And then, he's a tricky guy to stay friendly with without crossing paths a couple of times. And I respect him, and he's funny, and I always listen to him on the podcast, and I think he does a good job. And I enjoyed the book, The Odds. He's an interesting cat.
Let's get
very good to people who are really needy, and not very good to people who might have, who have a glorious opinion of themselves. So the people I really like him. To me, is a tough nut to crack, but I don't dislike him. He's just somebody I put on my danger list.
One other note before we get to the handicapping of the games, and I promise we'll do that. 7 games from Dink, 7 games from Paulie Mac. Have pen and paper ready for that. Should be a fun competition tonight. I want to say hello tonight to Joe Ezra. He's battling some health issues. He listens to the show nightly, loves the program. Rare immune deficiency disorder for Joe Ezra. He's going to fight it, though. He's a battler and a scrapper. I saw him today at a local sports book, and he's got that gambling spirit in him and not going to quit at all. So I expect him to be back 100% healthy in no time. So, Joe, get well soon, and if you don't have your health, what do you have? I think the older we get, the more we appreciate the importance of health.
Right,
I think sometimes you take it for granted in your 20s and 30s, but health is critical, and you've got to stay healthy. And Dink, I'll start with you. This is a stressful exercise. I mean, gambling is tough on the body and the mind.
I think when you're Jewish, you thrive on stress and chaos because it's always been that way for me. And I don't know. The Jewish part, I don't know. But, I try to shout out my stress. I shout at the TV like when something bad happens, and then I calm down and watch the next play. Now, sometimes the people who live with me don't understand what I'm doing exactly, but I think the worst of it is to hold it in and then explode in a fit of rage. I think then you do more damage to the person you're exploding at than anything else. So I think it's hard to live with. For my wife and things, because sometimes when I'm really upset and I'm banging on the table or something, the door will slam in the bedroom, and so I know she's out for the night, and I can understand it, and I try to behave myself a little better, but it helps. I think it helps me deal with it is to just pound it out right away and not hold things in and let them accumulate.
Paulie Mac, what kind of gambler are you? Do you let it out or do you keep it in?
I keep it in for the most part. I realize after gambling so long, it's not going to do any good to let it out, really. But inside I'm letting it out. You know what I mean? So
I don't want to hold it inside.
I don't know how.
But I've calmed down a lot, and I was pretty temperamental in my 20s and 30s about bad beats and stupid things
vicious.
and stuff.
Yeah.
But I take it personally. As a bettor, you take it more personally than a bookmaker because you're making the decisions. You actually feel you're playing the game.
Right. You get mad at yourself.
You're my representative. How could you misjudge the fly ball?
Yeah, and even if you're right, you got to win the next one. So you don't have one to be happy. You know what I mean?
Right. That's why everybody blames jockeys, I think. I've never, I don't know too many horse players who don't blame jockeys when their horse doesn't do well.
Yelling at them, yelling.
Let's get to the games.
Hey.
Dink and Paulie Mac are here to handicap this week's pro and college football. Again, the format is simple, 7 games apiece, pro games or college games, sides or totals, gambling against the current numbers at Chris. Paulie Mac play 1 of 7. And we should note, they're gambling against the numbers at Chris 30 minutes prior to showtime. So at 9:30, they each submitted their plays. Neither one privy of the other's selections. Paulie Mac, play 1 of 7 on your card.
Play 1, I'm going to go with Northwestern, getting 4 from Minnesota. I think this game here, I think Northwestern's the real deal. They had that bad loss in Northern Illinois, and then it seems like they just destroyed Penn State and then went into Wisconsin and beat them. My friend Coach pointed out today, he said he made a good point. The next 3 games are very tough on the schedule. They got Nebraska and Notre Dame, and I forget who the other one was. But this Minnesota team, I think they're somewhat of a fraud. They're up and down. I had them in a couple spots, but then they got pounded by TCU. And the Michigan game, that's not a big win now. You can throw out. I look for Northwestern to keep the momentum rolling here. And I don't think there's no letdown or nothing. I think they're rolling. Well coached and just roll here.
Betting number 115, Northwestern plus 4 over Minnesota, the first of 7 plays from Paulie Mac. As stated earlier, neither one privy of the other's selections. Dink, you also have a play in this game.
Well, my first play is Calgary Flames tomorrow night. I don't know, we can't do that. Okay. Yes, my first play is Northwestern as well. I think Minnesota's win against Michigan was a little bit overrated because, to me, Michigan and Wisconsin are light years apart, and I thought Northwestern was the better team in the Wisconsin game. They had some opportunities that they didn't cash in, and they could have won that game actually by more points than they did. And
scary, yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough place to go and win.
Yeah.
I was impressed with them, and the line moved from 3 to 4 today, and there's a little bit of inkling that it's going to come back down, which is how I played this contest a little bit, like looking for moves that I believe are moves and looking for moves I believe are not moves. And I thought this game will come back to 3, and I thought I might be getting the better team. I really believe I have the better team, and I'm getting 4 points. That's good enough on the road to be a bet.
Better team, yeah.
So the 7-game competition becomes a 6-game competition as both Paulie Mac and Dink line up on the Northwestern Wildcats plus 4 over the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Northwestern coming off that home victory over Wisconsin last Saturday. Paulie Mac, play 2.
Play number 2, I'm going to go with Middle Tennessee State. It's kind of a scary play here, but Marshall can score. They can always score, but I think this Middle Tennessee State team, I think they can score with them. They showed signs last week that, they're not back to that bowl team, but I think they'll hang within this number. It's a little bit of a rivalry, and I think this school has some pride here. I think they'll score with them. I think they'll lose by about 10 or something. I don't think it'll get near 24. Somewhere around 10 or 13, I think.
Betting number 121, Middle Tennessee State plus 23.5 over undefeated Marshall. That'll be Paulie's second of 7 selections. Dink, play 2.
My second play is Hawaii, the bottom game number, I don't know.
201-202.
Game number 201-202, under 47. And my reasoning is very simple. It's the late game. I'm going to be up. I may as well have a play, and I may as well start out with a 47-point lead and have something to sweat.
9 p.m. Pacific time
That's
kickoff.
how you handicap intelligently.
201-202, Wyoming, Hawaii, under
I get
47.
Lawrence to laugh. That's like my whole goal each show is to get our engineer Lawrence to laugh, and he like that.
Crack producer and great sense of humor, too. He knows comedy, does Lawrence.
And wrestling.
Yes, and about the play, Wyoming, Hawaii, I know you have contacts, guys who bet college football, especially college football totals. Did you get any help on this 7?
You know what?
I'm leaving the show.
I actually talked to Drink Your Milkshake, and he gave me plays, and they all moved. And, that's a good thing, but it's not a good thing to use in the contest when you're 3 points the worst of it. And, I did bet a couple, and I'm glad they moved, and I have the best of it. But it does not help to give them out to on the radio that a game like Auburn over, I believe, moved a few points, and Baylor over, moved a few points, and he took advantage of a bad early line. But to go out there and put it on the contest after it moved 3 or 4 points seems very ridiculous. And to play a game that's moved 4 points at all, you really have to come up with an angle better than just it's the right side.
Did you watch all the line movement earlier today, Dink?
Oh, yeah.
College football.
Oh, yeah. I watched it. I always watch it on Tuesdays and Thursday mornings. It's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Who's responsible? Do you know? Tuesday and Thursday
I thought
morning?
RAS is the RAS, Right Angle Sports, is mostly responsible. And then there's people manipulating the board, too. And it's an interesting time. If I had a better opinion, I'd feel bad about calling these shots as like this one's a real one and this one's coming back. But you can tell in the line movements a lot that there's a couple that I don't think will ever come back.
Paulie Mac, your third of 7 plays in the showdown with Dink.
Play number 3, I'm going to go with the Auburn Tigers. I'm starting to think this team might be one of the best teams in the country. I didn't earlier, but I get more impressed with them each time I see them play. And the thing about Mississippi State is I just simply don't think they can beat LSU, A&M, and Auburn in the same season. They're real good, but I mean that's asking a lot. Actually midway through the season would be. And same thing with Mississippi this week. I got a feeling I didn't play that game, but I think both Mississippis come back to earth here a little bit.
It's an interesting time in college football, is it not? A wild Saturday last Saturday. Paulie says Mississippi State can't do it again. Take Auburn, lay the 3 on the road against
This is the time of season where the rankings start to mean a little something. I mean, if the right people are ranking them,
Mm-hmm. The one ranking that'll count most, we'll see October 28th. It's the final Tuesday in October. That's when we get our first look at the selection committee's rankings. Those will be the ones that count in early December when they decide the semifinal round matchups in early January. But that 13-member selection committee so critical now to college football's future. Mississippi State, it's interesting to note, they were unranked just a couple of weeks ago. Now they're the 3rd-ranked team in the country. That's can happen in this topsy-turvy world of college football now. But Paulie Mac says, take Auburn, -3 over Mississippi State. Auburn, one of the best teams in the country. Alan Dinkinson, your third play.
In the battle of the mullets, I am picking, I think we both have kind of a mullet haircut, right?
Yeah.
I think that's cool. There's not that many mullets left in the world. I'm picking Michigan State game 113 -21. I know this is Paulie Mac does not lay 21. I know you're a taker of 21, yeah. But I think this is one of people that buy on bad news. I am betting against good news. I thought Purdue's win against the horrible Illinois team has got me a bunch of points here, and I think Purdue will not score at all against Michigan
I was
State.
thinking 48-0.
Yeah,
I don't lay it, but I agree with you. Yeah.
I like that. That makes me feel
Steamroll,
better.
yeah. Steamroll.
So I think Michigan State can move the ball well, and I
Yeah.
think they won't let Purdue move at all. And
Right.
I'm just hoping there's no bad weather, which is the only problem doing this on Tuesday.
That's
is
true,
sometimes you're just picking totals and picking
Right.
big favorites or big dogs, and the weather does come into play. But
Right.
I'm hoping any kind of reasonable weather. I like Michigan State to dominate the game.
You
and,
have to,
and
yeah.
I know Purdue might be able to score, but boy, I can see that score of 48-7 or something.
14-3 at worst case. You know what I mean? Mid early second or something. You know what I mean?
I like
Should
you.
extend
You
from
envision scoring.
Yeah,
I
that's
like
what you
that.
have
You
to do, yeah.
you envision that
Gotta
14.
see it.
You see that
Yeah.
field goal. You know.
Yeah.
14-3 early second. I'll take that.
Betting number 113, Michigan State minus 21 over Purdue. That serves as Dink's third play. ABC to televise 12:30 p.m. Pacific time, the kickoff. 3 plays in, 4 more to come. It's Paulie Mac against Alan Dinkinson at Tuesday night football handicapping showdown. Dink, quick question to you about the weather. What day of the week can you trust the weather reports? When do you go to school on your meteorology?
I look on Thursday and I really trust on Saturday. I look if there's something major coming, and it's a win more thing than anything else. But they've stopped a lot of games now that they didn't stop before. There's a lot of rain delays in college football lately. And I was younger, there were no rain delays. They played through it. I understand the lightning delays, but boy, in downpours now, they kind of stop games, which is scary. So you can't even count on the weather being bad to bet under because they may wait it out.
Paulie Mac, your fourth play.
Fourth play, I'm going to go with the USC Trojans here. I think it's put up or shut up this week. This is where this season they usually start. They'll turn it around if they're going bad, and if they're going good, they play like that fluke game against Boston College. But I think now the season starts here. I think, again, this Arizona team, I think they come back to earth a little bit. I think they played over their heads with Oregon. Oregon a little overrated this year. Arizona scored easy with them. But I think this USC's defense, I think they're better than they played. I think they can shut Arizona down for the most part. I'm looking for maybe a whipping, really, 28-13 or something. But, I mean, I like USC here, small number.
ESPN2 to televise. Betting number 167, USC minus 2.5 over Arizona. I noted on your card, Paulie, all sides, no totals. You envision a score there, USC-Arizona game, that begs the question, why not under 68? Do you play a lot of totals?
Well, actually, now that you say it, I didn't see. No, I could change the play at
Gee,
68.
that's too late.
Where'd they
You're
come up
locked
with
in.
that number? I don't understand that at all. Yeah, give me the under two. Make it an 8-play contest.
Pass.
With the Northwestern push. You know what I mean?
That's my next play. No, it's not.
So Paulie on record taking USC minus 2.5 over Arizona. Dink, do you get involved much in the totals market?
Sure. I try to take good numbers, and I don't care if they're first half, second halves, overs, unders, minuses, or pluses.
Your fourth play.
That play, by the way, irks me a little because I always give something to the charity if I win, and now Caroline has to root against USC, which is where she teaches economics. So there's a little bit of pain.
I'm with you,
there.
Caroline.
Well, you can, if they win, you can send something to the charity. It's a wonderful charity, but I think she'll root against. I don't have to ask her. My fourth play is a Friday night game 108, New Mexico plus 5.5, and this is strictly drink your milkshakes play because he told me what he thought the value is in the injury to the San Diego State quarterback. He said this game shouldn't be much closer to pick him. I took 6.5 this morning, and now I'm taking 5.5 in the contest, and 6 is a number where, I hate to skip and take a bad number, but 5.5 points and a drink your milkshake opinion is good enough for me.
I like that. That has a ring to it. Take the home dog in the Mountain West Conference game between New Mexico and San Diego State. Betting number 108, New Mexico plus 5.5 over SDSU. 4 plays in, 3 more to come. You're listening to the EOG Sports Hour. We'll bypass the final commercial break of the program and thank the fine people at Bet Online. I had a good chat with the customer service agent there today. Boy, they do a lot of things right at Bet Online. In fact, check out the main forum at EOG.com. We'll have the numbers up in the NFL from Bet Online early in the day on Sunday. We'll have conversations dealing with those early openers from Bet Online as well. Paulie Mac, your fifth.